New tonight, a 4-year investigation and prosecution of a Wilmington gang leads to 20 convictions. Plus, how Sussex County towns are handling recreational marijuana as the debate heats up. And if you're hitting the road or the skies this Thanksgiving, you're going to want to pack your patience and budget some extra time. More on AAA's historic travel numbers coming up. Those stories and much more straight ahead tonight on DETV News. Good evening and welcome to DETV News. I'm Matt Ford. Thanks for being with us tonight. Topping the news today, with the latest murder conviction, Wilmington Police and the State Attorney General's office wrapped up a 4-year investigation and prosecution of a major Wilmington gang with 100% conviction rate. 22-year-old Deontay Robinson was convicted of murder in the second degree, gang participation, conspiracy, and other charges. He faces 15 years to life at sentencing. The state's case against the gang began back in September of 2019 as an effort to address gang violence in Wilmington. A task force was created that included Wilmington Police, the Delaware and U.S. Departments of Justice, the ATF, and the FBI. Traces on crime guns recovered in and around Wilmington helped the task force identify the gang as a major driver of violence in Wilmington. The investigation identified 19 defendants involved with Wilmington gangs and one man who contracted a Dover killing. The crimes included 4 murders, a mass shooting which injured 6, and numerous other shootings and gun offenses. All 20 were convicted, and the state secured more than 100 years of confirmed prison time, with several defendants yet to be sentenced. And a Newcastle County jury this afternoon convicted a Wilmington man on 25 charges related to a 2021 crime spree that left 2 people dead here in Delaware. He also faces charges that he killed an additional 4 people in Pennsylvania. Keith Gibson was found guilty for killing 28-year-old Leslie Ruiz Basillo in an Ellesmere cell phone store and 42-year-old Ronald Wright during a street robbery in June. He also shot a convenience store clerk in Wilmington and robbed a city Rite Aid store around the same time. Philadelphia authorities said once Delaware proceedings are complete, they will charge him with 4 additional murders that occurred in the city at the same time. Wilmington police arrested Gibson shortly after the robbery of a Rite Aid in the Adams 4 area shopping center. The clerk in the store gave Gibson cash with a tracking device which led police right to Gibson hiding in a nearby backyard. And in more police news, a 19-year-old Wilmington man has been arrested for the shooting death of 20-year-old Jose Gonzalez. That's according to Ellesmere Police. They say that Jeremy Herrera was indicted by a Newcastle County grand jury back on November 6th and was taken into custody 4 days later after police executed a related search warrant in the Murray Manor trailer park. Gonzalez was found dead in the 900 block of South Grant Avenue after police were called to the scene shortly before 4 a.m. on September 16th. Gonzalez had been shot multiple times. Herrera was charged with first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and several other charges. He was jailed on a $2 million bail. And a FedEx employee here in Delaware has been arrested on firearm and felony theft charges. Newcastle police say 27-year-old Jordan Hamilton of Wilmington was arrested for allegedly stealing over $99,000 worth of gold coins from a package. Police said they began investigating Hamilton back in September and were able to execute a search warrant on his home where they found stolen gold and silver. Police also found several firearms, including a 12-gauge shotgun with an obliterated serial number, as well as a 9mm handgun that was also reported stolen out of Philadelphia. Hamilton is facing multiple charges, including felony theft. He turned himself in on November 10th. His bail was set to $21,000 unsecured, and he was later released. And state police arrested a 40-year-old Selbyville man for felony reckless endangering after he drove his van into a group of men that were talking with his ex-wife. Police said Moises Espinoza Saldivar confronted his ex-wife after seeing her speaking to construction workers outside of her home on Cape Lane. That's down in Frankfurt. This happened Saturday morning. After an argument, he got back into his van and sped towards the group of 3 men standing by a deck. 2 of the men jumped out of the way, but one was pinned against the deck, causing some serious injury. The 44-year-old man was flown to an area trauma hospital for his injuries. Now, 2 children were on the deck as well when the crash occurred, but no other injuries were reported. Police took Espinoza Saldivar into custody at the scene without any incident. He was committed to Sussex Correctional Institution on an $88,000 cash bond. And continuing news in Sussex County, on Monday night, the Georgetown Town Council discussed the possibility of allowing marijuana businesses, such as dispensaries, within town limits. A possible ordinance still needs to be reviewed by the town's planning commission and be discussed multiple times by town council and the public before it's passed. The ordinance would not allow for more than 2 marijuana dispensaries within town limits. Other towns around Sussex County have already decided to not allow marijuana businesses in their jurisdictions. Per House Bill number 2, towns and municipalities have the authority to restrict recreational marijuana. According to Georgetown's town manager, towns have to make the call on if they want to restrict marijuana or regulate it by the summer of 2024. Hunters, listen up. The Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control is asking you to keep an eye out for a type of fox squirrel this hunting season. According to DENREC, the Delmarva fox squirrel is a subspecies of the fox squirrel found only on the Delmarva Peninsula. The agency has implemented a conservation plan that involves a project to move squirrels from Maryland into southern Delaware. DENREC says its biologists have released Delmarva fox squirrels to specific wildlife areas and state parks, and that some of those squirrels have moved from those release sites. The gray squirrel can be found in Sussex County, but their fur almost always has some brown in it, while Delmarva fox squirrels do not. The fox squirrels appear more silver. DENREC is asking for hunters to send photos and location information of Delmarva fox squirrels to the email seen on your screen below. And Delaware bus drivers may soon see a pay raise if a key education committee gets its way. The Public School Transportation Committee voted Monday to recommend increasing bus driver pay to $25 an hour. That's up from the current $22.50 an hour. The committee says higher wages are needed to address a shortage of drivers that's disrupting transportations for thousands of students statewide. They say better pay will attract and retain more drivers. The committee also wants to boost safety measures like cameras and GPS on all their buses. They say deterring misbehavior and preventing catalytic converter thefts from bus yards should make the job more appealing. But the state says finding the money won't be easy with many competing budget demands this year, and transitioning to electric buses over the next decade will be costly. The Transportation Committee's recommendations go to the State Budget Office in April. Drivers hope the pay raise makes the cut. It would cost Delaware about $4.4 million, but could mean reliable rides for school students across the state. Turning to educational news now, Delaware State University is slated to sign an agreement with United Airlines tomorrow that will forge a path for students to become pilots. The partnership agreement will make Del State's aviation program part of United Airlines' Aviate program. As a University Aviate partner, DSU aviation students who meet the eligibility requirements can apply to Aviate and receive a conditional job offer as a United Airlines first officer. A DSU aviation program, it was established back in 1987 and currently has 110 professional pilot students, 47 aviation management majors, and 6 helicopter flight training students. That's awesome. And speaking of airlines, this year's Thanksgiving holiday is expected to be the 3rd busiest one for travel since AAA started tracking holiday travel volumes back in the year 2000. According to AAA's annual Thanksgiving holiday travel forecast, Nearly 55 million Americans will travel 50 miles or more from home this Thanksgiving holiday. Most Thanksgiving travelers will drive to their destinations, with 49 million planning a road trip. That's actually despite gas costing over $1 more per gallon than it did last year. Air travel will also see a bump this Thanksgiving, with 4.5 million Americans flying to their holiday destinations. Where are they going? Well, warm weather destinations, theme parks, tourist attractions, and cruise port cities top the list of domestic and international destinations this holiday season. AAA urges anyone that's hitting the road this Thanksgiving to make sure their vehicles are ready for the trip by checking your batteries, tires, and fluid levels. They also recommend packing emergency kits in case of a roadside breakdown. Tuesday and Wednesday before Thanksgiving are the busiest air travel days ahead of the holiday, and they're also the most expensive. While Sunday is typically the busiest day to return home, AAA data actually shows that Monday is also a popular day to fly home after Thanksgiving. And the Wilmington Alliance hosted the grand opening and ribbon cutting today of a new community gathering space. It's located at 501 West 7th Street. Called the Artomat, this space is the latest addition to improvements in West Center City. This is the latest project from the Wilmington Alliance, transforming a nuisance property onto one that's focused on the arts. And the annual Delaware Hospice Festival of Trees will open this Friday in Newcastle County and then December 1st in Kent and Sussex counties. In Newcastle, the trees will be displayed at Brantwyn Estate and downstate at the Delaware Hospice Center in Milford. Proceeds from both benefit Delaware hospice programs throughout the state of Delaware. The trees are decorated by volunteers in different themes. Home decor and food for sale are handmade by volunteers. The events are free to the public. For more information, visit delawarehospice.org. And before we sign off tonight, a Delaware family won more than $20,000 last week in a 3-night run on the popular game show Family Feud. The Pike Creek-based Griffith family was no stranger to nationally televised game shows. Angelo Griffith's wife, Lori, won nearly $14,000 in cash and prizes on Wheel of Fortune back in 2019. That included a cruise to Alaska. The family hosted a watch party for one of the episodes at Dom's Pizzeria in Newport.
Topping the news tonight, Wilmington police put a man behind bars after charging him with the death of a 21-month-old girl. That man, 30-year-old Timothy Okowski, had to be extradited from the state of Connecticut for the crime. Police say the baby girl was transported to a hospital where she later died back in March. Reports indicate the crime took place in the 100 block of Town Estates Drive in Wilmington. Okowski faces murder by abuse or neglect in the first degree. He is now at the Howard Young Correctional Institution on a $2 million cash-only bail. In other news, Governor John Carney is making moves to become the next mayor of Wilmington. Records with the Delaware Department of Elections show the sitting governor formed a Carney for Wilmington campaign committee. While the chief executive has not officially filed to run, the formation of the committee is a strong indication that he plans to do so. Carney is finishing up his second term as governor, and term limits forbid him from running for re-election. Wilmington Mayor Mike Brzezicki already announced he won't seek re-election. The move from governor to mayor would be a first for Delaware. Most governors move on to congressional offices, but Carney, a former congressman, has already been down that road. He says after living in Wilmington for 30 years, he wants to do more for the city. If Carney runs as is expected, he'll face off with former city treasurer Velda Jones Potter, who has already registered for the race. And Carney is still busy with the business of the state. He signed a proclamation recognizing November as Native American Heritage Month. Members of Delaware's Lenape and Nanacoke tribes were present for the signing. Delaware lawmakers first began recognizing the month in 2011, even though the U.S. lawmakers did so back in 1990. At the signing, Carney said it's important for residents in the state to learn more about the history and heritage of Native Americans here. There's good news for Christiana Care. Forbes magazine ranked the hospital system as the best healthcare employer for veterans in the United States in its 4th annual list for best employers for veterans this year. Christiana Care is also ranked as number 6 employer for veterans in the nation overall. As Delaware's largest private employer, Christiana Care has a variety of programs designed to create a supportive environment for veterans. Among them is an employee resource group that enables veteran employees to bond with one another. The Forbes Best Employers for Veterans list was identified from an independent survey of more than 8,000 veterans working for companies with more than 1,000 employees. Now that recreational marijuana is legal in Delaware, the State Department of Safety and Homeland Security wants more money to support its regulation. When the Marijuana Control Act passed last spring, 14 new positions were added for enforcement and regulation. DSHS Cabinet Secretary Nathaniel McQueen said he needs new equipment for those officers. Among other things, McQueen is requesting $89,000 to equip the officers with mobile radios and another $14,000 for tasers. That's not all. The department is asking the state to fund a $1.5 million request for a marijuana locker. Another $100,000 is needed to purchase software used to track the cultivation, processing, and sales of cannabis in the first state. The request will be considered by the General Assembly's Joint Finance Committee. Some disturbing news to report from Seaford. Police were called to the Cross Christian Academy after unknown suspects showed a gun to a student on a playground and threw a rock that struck another student. Reports indicate the suspects were not on school property when the incident occurred. All students were brought into the school, which immediately went into lockdown. Delaware State Police tried but failed to find the suspects. One is described as an Asian male with an anime t-shirt, and another black male was reported to be wearing a red and black shirt. One of them had a backpack where the gun was said to be hidden. Anyone with information is asked to contact Seaford Police. Also in Sussex County, more disturbing news tonight. The Ellendale and Bridgeville volunteer fire departments were targeted by vandals while responding to a call. Making matters worse, the Farmington and Seaford volunteer fire companies also suffered damage to their engines. All this while the 5 companies were responding to an active fire at a plastic fabrication company in Greenwood. The call came in around 8 p.m. Rocks were thrown at some of the fire trucks, leaving windows cracked and the trucks dented. Police, of course, hope to find all those responsible for the acts of vandalism. On a brighter note, the annual Stuff the Bus Thanksgiving food drive will help a lot of people this holiday season. The drive, held at locations across the state, netted 21,000 pounds or 10.5 tons of food last week. Residents, businesses, schools, and organizations all turned out to stuff a bus at designated places. DART turned the non-perishable food over to the Food Bank of Delaware for distribution to those in need. And the Food Bank of Delaware is just about ready to stock the shelves at its new location in Milford. The $34 million project includes a cafe and garden that will provide food for the facility. Also included will be a new cooking classroom with top-grade equipment needed to train people for careers in culinary arts. A ribbon cutting is planned for mid-January. Meanwhile, fundraising continues because the food bank needs another $3.5 million to pay for the new facility. Also in Sussex County, State Representative Ruth Briggs King is stepping down from the legislature. The Republican who represents the Georgetown-Millsboro area is moving into a new home just over her district lines. Her announcement means the chairperson of the county committee for each political party must now name a candidate to fill her seat by holding a special election. The Department of Elections will set a date 30 to 35 days after the Speaker of the House issues a so-called writ of election within 10 days of the vacancy. Briggs King has served in the House since 2009. As expected, the Brandywine School Board voted Tuesday to go to a tax referendum in 2024. The board voted unanimously for a 45-cent property tax increase spread over 2 years. That's 25 cents in 1 year and 20 cents in year 2. The referendum is operating cost only. There are no capital projects included in the proposal. District officials say catastrophic cuts will be made if the referendum fails. The average property value in Brandywine is nearly $73,000, and approval would mean about an extra $15 per month in 1 year and an extra $12 a month in a year 2. The referendum vote is set for February 13th. And in the Appoquinimink School District, residents will vote on a referendum on Tuesday, December 12th. Delaware's fastest growing district is asking taxpayers to approve a hike of more than $82 million. The operational request is more than $12 million. $10 million of that will be used to raise the salaries of staff. Appo has the lowest pay scale of the 5 Newcastle County school districts. The other part of the ask is to enhance security. On the capital side, the referendum would help pay for 2 new schools. One is a high school, the other is an elementary school. Those schools cost a little more than $280 million. What's the tab for the average homeowner, you ask? $435 a year for properties assessed at $92,700 and $587 a year if the value is at $125,000. And finally tonight, you can't tell from the outside, but there is something unique happening in Janvier Jewelers on Kirkwood Highway in Ellesmere. Inside, you'll find a 110-foot mural depicting Jewelry Row in a large city, a river waterfront, and a marshy bird sanctuary. Store owner Joseph Janvier said he hopes the art pleases art lovers and, of course, the jewelry. Take a look.
The mural actually was created by Kent Kretsch with an idea of a homey feeling. Really made things very unique.
It was Joe who had asked for the Jewelers Row. I had never done a black and white mural before, so that was a challenge, just figuring out the contrast, how to make everything so it didn't look all muddy, getting shadows and highlights down. I've been here for close to 4 years.
Every bit of it is just inspiring.
Those little hints of red would kind of take your eye and just pull you along through the painting. And the gems were just more of an idea. I figured, let's see what it looks like with some gems set into the wall.
It's made night and day difference just for, again, conversation and beauty of the store. People who like jewelry like art. People like art like jewelry.
From different perspectives, it creates different scenes.
Joseph Janvier Jewelers, Ellesmere. And we can help you with all your jewelry needs. We do custom work.
The website is kentersarts.com.
We begin with some somber news out of Sussex County tonight. A Delaware probation and parole officer who also served as the vice president of the State Fraternal Order of Police was killed Wednesday in an off-duty accident in Sussex County. Todd Mumford died following the accident in Millsboro. Facebook posts by several FOP lodges confirmed his death, but did not detail how the accident occurred. Mumford served as president of FOP Lodge 10 prior to becoming vice president of the statewide FOP, dedicated his life to public safety and law enforcement, read one of the posts. This morning, numerous social media users took to Facebook to express their condolences. Mumford leaves behind a wife and 2 children. The state FOP said more information would be shared when it becomes available. And former Delaware Auditor Kathy McGinnis took her appeal to the Delaware Supreme Court Wednesday, asking the court to overturn her misdemeanor public corruption conviction from last year. In arguments before the state's highest court, her defense attorney called her conviction profoundly unfair and unconstitutional. Last year, during her re-election campaign, McGinnis was convicted of conflict of interest and official misconduct, tied to hiring her daughter as a part-time employee in the auditor's office. She was found not guilty of a felony witness intimidation charge. She was sentenced to probation and lost her fall primary for fall re-election. In an appeals brief filed earlier this year, McGinnis made 8 separate legal arguments seeking to have her conviction overturned. Justices heard from lawyers on both sides on Wednesday. After an hour hearing, the justices recessed to consider the arguments. The Supreme Court is expected to issue its ruling on the appeal in the coming weeks or months. And police are investigating a crash that happened Wednesday morning on Newcastle Avenue that involved a stolen vehicle. The crash happened around 8:30 a.m. in the southbound lanes of Route 9 prior to Rogers Road. A pickup truck slammed into the back of a parked flatbed tractor trailer. The pickup driver was trapped in the wreckage for about 10 minutes, then treated by medics before being taken to Christiana Hospital in serious condition. And speaking of stolen cars, Newcastle County Police are investigating the thefts of catalytic converters from 2 vehicles in the employee parking lot of Nemours Children's Hospital. The thefts occurred Tuesday. Today, police released a surveillance photo, which appears to show 2 white males in a gray or blue Nissan Pathfinder. Anyone who can help is asked to contact police at 302-573-2800, or you can contact Delaware Crime Stoppers. That number is 1-800-TIP-3333. Some frightening moments this week as police continue to investigate a gun threat that was made to Smyrna Middle School. The threat was made through social media shortly before 7 a.m. on Wednesday. Precautions were immediately taken to ensure the safety of all staff and students. An increased police presence continued at the school after dismissal. Authorities say the threat specifically targeted teachers and students. An increased police presence and patrols will be seen at the school for the remainder of this week. The Smyrna School District released the following statement on Facebook, saying, quote, "We sincerely apologize for any disruption to your students' education today due to the unfortunate circumstances. Like you, the safety and well-being of our students and employees remain our top priority, and we appreciate your understanding and cooperation during this challenging time." They say we are committed to transparency throughout this ongoing investigation and will provide updates as they are made available, end quote. And in an historic moment for Wilmington Airport, Avelo Airlines launched its first flight beyond the continental United States on Wednesday. The airline marked the occasion with a ribbon-cutting ceremony and distributed commemorative boarding passes for the inaugural flight from Wilmington to San Juan, Puerto Rico.
For Wilmington Airport to say hello to San Juan, Puerto Rico.
With a sizable Puerto Rican population of 250,000 residents in the Philadelphia-Delaware Valley region, Avelo aims to serve the community's needs. Wilmington Police Chief Campos expressed his anticipation for the positive impact the new service will have, particularly for older community members in avoiding the stress of traveling out of larger airports. Chief Campos even shared his plans to utilize the route more frequently himself. Avelo Airlines will operate the route twice a week, providing flights on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Speaking of flying, aviation students at Delaware State had their opportunities broadened today with the signing of an agreement between the university and United Airlines. Eligible students can enter the United Aviate program that provides a secure path to its flight deck. Upon successful completion of the program, students can be offered a conditional job as a United First Officer. University President Tony Allen said the program is the latest for the DSU Aviation program, which graduates the highest number of professional pilots of color in the nation.
As you may know, we graduate more pilots of color than any other place in the country. So we have a lot of folks interested in our students, but we have unique partnerships across the airlines industry. But with United, it is a world-class partnership for us.
Established in 1987, the aviation program at DSU possesses a fleet of 26 airplanes. There are currently 110 professional pilot students enrolled at the university. And the Food Bank of Delaware has partnered with Stand By Me to provide financial coaching for budgeting groceries this holiday season. Participants will gain valuable insights into navigating the economy and maintaining food security. The one-on-one sessions cover budgeting, credit score improvement, and debt management. The food bank emphasizes a client-centric coach approach tailored to individual goals. Past participants have successfully reduced their debt by over $276,000. You can visit the Food Bank of Delaware's website for more details on these free classes. And the city of Rehoboth Beach faced a bit of a hiccup this week in their Christmas tree installation. The 40-foot green giant was brought to the city's bandstand broke in two during the lifting process, emitting a loud snap. Reported via the city's official Facebook account, the mishap did not deter the holiday spirit, however. Instead of discarding the tree, the city opted to use the upper two-thirds of the tree, measuring approximately 25 feet in height. While acknowledging that this year's holiday tree may not reach the towering heights of previous years, the city assured residents and visitors of its gorgeous shape in a Facebook post. The tree is eagerly anticipated to be illuminated during Rehoboth Beach's tree lighting and holiday sing-along that's scheduled for November 24th at 6:30 p.m. And speaking of Christmas festivities, the hugely popular Christmas extravaganza that is Shellville opens this weekend in Rehoboth Beach. Shell Brothers, a home building company well known in the Delaware beaches, is in its 6th year of hosting Shellville. It's a free 5.5-acre Christmas village full of Christmas spirit and decorations. There's a skating rink, a playground, a mini Christmas village, mini golf and ride-on miniature train, a beer garden, and of course, Santa and Mrs. Claus. There is also more than 1,000 Christmas trees, live music, bars, and more than 30 vendors and food trucks available. It all starts this Saturday, November 18th. It's located behind Tanger Outlets on Seaside Outlet Drive. Free tickets are available from either 5 to 7 p.m. or 7 to 9 p.m., and those tickets can be found online. And it's almost time for the newest batch of leaders in Delaware to set out and make their legacy on the first state. Leadership Delaware is a year-long program offering professional development to local leaders with a goal to grow their careers while also working to grow Delaware. The program mentors rising leaders who have the capacity and desire to seek and excel at community, nonprofit, political, professional, and corporate leadership within the first state. The nonprofit is a statewide selection-only program that offers a series of issue-oriented forums and experiences. The program exposes participants to speakers and issues facing Delaware and its communities while building fellows' leadership skills. The graduation ceremony held at the Chase Center on December 6th will be filled with the who's who of Delaware, all there to support the 29 graduating members of this year's class. For more information on the program and how you can attend the networking and graduation festivities, head to leadershipdelaware.org. We do want to let you know ticket sales end on December 3rd. And finally tonight, if you happen to see a caravan of buses and cars with a police escort, no, that's not the president or another dignitary. That's several tons of turkeys being delivered to seniors and families in need during the annual turkey drive. This year, Stormin' Norman Oliver, who has led the annual giveaway for 4 decades, passed the torch to our very own Ivan Thomas, founder and creative force behind DETV. Turkeys will be delivered to 12 senior housing complexes in Wilmington with stops in Newark, Dover, Seaford, Georgetown, and Smyrna. An estimated 100,000 turkeys have been given away during the annual drive. If you would like to volunteer or donate to the cause, please visit BigIvesTurkeyDrive.com. We are all very excited for that on Tuesday. We hope you can be a part of it. And that's going to do it for tonight's edition of DETV News. Be sure to like and follow us on your favorite social media platforms. And for a look at what else we're up to, head to DETVCH.com. For tonight's news, I'm Matt Ford. We'll catch you again next week. Take care.